Overwatch's new hero Venture has landed, and I thunderclapped back to Season 10 to give the mole a spin and see if this could be the answer to my problems in the DPS department because, well, Venture's abilities are super cool, so let me run you through what we've got.
Launch a seismic charge that's super duper large, but the range is a bit trash, so compensate with drill dash, borrow underground and charge it all the way, and 1, 2, 3, go ever. Then fire up your ultimate attack, sonic shot, aim it underneath the enemy's person.
We found ourselves in Samoa, and by we, I mean I stacked the deck with a group of 3. It was me, Supachick, and, well, I don't know who the other guy is, and he's not accepting my friend request, but he's better at Overwatch than I am, so what better way to start the season than getting a pocket heal and a damage carry? Control was the name of the game. First to capture the objective to 100 wins the rounds. First to 2 rounds,
Victory!
We bound towards the point to see what this team of 5 had to offer in terms of resistance, and with Moana giving Maui the day off, we were about to have our hands full. I was testing out my primary fire and quickly realised its limitations, but also it's quite obvious I've played way too much tank and almost cost us the fight right at the start. Thank goodness, I'm a mole re-emerging on the central right side of point. I let that enemy Zenyatta know that I was displeased with him almost yeeting me back to spawn, but Sombra hacked my crypto wallet. Joke's on you though, pal. It's full of doge! But while most people would back away, I charged forward, which the enemy did not expect, and neither did I, because to be honest, I was just pressing buttons at this point, but the scales had tipped in our favour, and I pushed the W key before using my burrow ability offensively, and then put Sombra's name to the test. However, the rule of Thanos demands balance, and any showing of skill must be immediately followed with the worst aim you've ever seen in your life. But the point was firmly under our command, and Maui considered retreating back to the Polynesian islands before rallying his team and inspiring an attack with renewed vigour. The enemy Venture launched a heroic attack that completely bamboozled me, and I don't even want to know how many times my liver was skewered by the drill before Supachick had seen enough and showered my doppelganger with a toxic grenade. Now would be the perfect time to back away and rethink, but no, burrowing towards my enemies without any plan whatsoever, I emerged clueless but ready to fire my ultimate, and my healers began to believe. However, they really shouldn't have, because in my haste to take away one of Lucky's 4-leaf clovers, I ignored the enemy Zenyatta and flailed around, only to be booped and stunned and still under the impression that I was the leader of this band of misfits. Supachick won the war of the healers and dispatched the enemy Zenyatta. The timer was ticking in our favour, and preventing our opponents from stepping onto the objective was working nicely. That is, until the bite of a large hack neutralised our team's abilities and I was in trouble, which is why Supachick was invited to the party. Our tank initiated Incredible Hulk mode, and I wasn't about to let him have all the glory. Good grief, you might be thinking. Am I really telling the tale of how I stepped all over an enemy team and gloating over it? Well, yes, I am, but the keen-eyed among you may have noticed the distinct lack of ultimate abilities coming from that enemy team, and when they came out of spawn, they decided to use, well, all of them.
That really helps.
For the first time in this game, I used my burrow defensively and could only look on in feigned horror as my teammates perished, but clearly, God did not want them to live. So I quietly backed out and we prepared to retake the objective. Unfortunately, our opponents had learned from the very strategy we inflicted upon them and began to gatekeep the sacred point from us by blocking the way. That is, until Supachick hit them with the biotic grenade, preventing them from healing, and once again, we charged in with supreme confidence, and what do you know? My ultimate was ready. Round 1 was ours, but despite it feeling under control so far, we'd soon discover that the other team had no intention of making it easy. Also, there's these basketballs, well, they're coconuts on this map, that you should be able to fire off and shoot hoops, but Venture's drill, well, it's so powerful that apparently we won't be putting anything in any hoop. As we strode towards this dangerous objective, surrounded by lava and a trampoline in the middle, my plan was simple. Cut off the side path from flanking enemies, but most importantly, show these combatants the identity of the superior mole. And that person is called Shadow Exodia. Truly an Overwatch experience. I was the first to die, but not the last, and the red team claimed the objective. Once again, they pushed forwards to meet us as we tried to make for the point, and I opted to stick to the plan. Find a path, a secret path, through the corridor and surprise our adversaries. And what do you know? It worked! right up until Mauga stomped my head into the multiverse. Bounding back to redeem myself, our tank shanked one of their DPS and our momentum began to shift. Despite getting shot in the cheeks by the enemy Ana, my healers recognized my prehistoric reflexes and kept me up while I burrowed down, only to explode with vengeful fury before Supachick hit me with a superpowered nano boost that, well, I couldn't make use of because the enemy tank had popped his ultimate and unintentionally hung me by my neck. We were in trouble here, but thank goodness for the hole in the middle and the beautiful trampoline because the tide of battle had turned. It would be a while though before... Funky body blocked and instantly regretted it, which didn't bode well for my friend request, but my efforts to retake the point were scunnered by the red team who kept relentless pressure going in the face of our chaotic resistance. I made a desperate flail back to my team and the support players shook their heads while obliging those heals. Sadly, I became the bullet magnet and almost instantly perished, finding brief refuge next to the trampoline before a last desperate attempt to knock my opponents to the ground. But they were ready for my shenanigans and soon showed their resolve for winning this entire game. The score was even and my confidence was thoroughly shaken. Perhaps I should just go back to tanking. I mean, what was the point in thinking I could still be a formidable force in a game where I'd spent most of my time holding up a shield and swinging a big hammer? Well, if there was ever a moment for fresh tactics, it was now. If I couldn't bring us victory, I'd bring us teamwork. Stick with the tank, follow their plays. Besides, now we had an Orisa, one of my favourite tank heroes in the game, and I knew exactly how to support the spear-wielding battle cattle. We galloped towards the point for the final round and made for the left high ground. Okay, stop. So if you're tanking and you're pretty healthy, stepping into a little cubbyhole means that someone else is going to be taking the incoming damage. Now, who do you think that's going to be? Yes, you guessed correctly, me. Well, that was the end of holding hands with Orisa, but I could still back up the beast with some good old-fashioned target convergence. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a 360 no clue, as I'd completely lost my bearings and then our tank expired while I fulfilled the motto of, if it's red, it's dead. With our tank and other healer down, Supachick was screaming IQ 9000 strategies to me that I didn't understand, but the one thing I did understand was Red Dead Redemption standing up there preparing to unleash his hand cannon. Now 2v2, we had to drive these assailants off of our objective, and once again I was about to go toe to toe with the other venture, but this time, things would be different. It didn't matter though, as the red team were determined to stop us from catching the point. The enemy Ana blasted my rear with darts and grenades before I planned to corner her underneath, and well, that wasn't supposed to happen, so I pushed W instead, which of course was the dumbest thing I could have done at that point. Fortunately, my team did what I couldn't and captured the objective. Feeling about as useful as a solar panel in a coffin, I sulked my way back to the point, ready to defend. However, seeing that my ultimate was almost ready, I felt the opportunity approaching to be useful, and as the red team came in, the pesky doppelganger started blasting my appendix apart with that seismic charge gun, but I wouldn't let anyone ruin this moment. Having said that, there probably wasn't much of a moment to ruin anyway, but what happened next caused enough alarm to make me check my underwear for accidents, as everyone who had an ultimate now pressed it, leaving this match in its most chaotic state yet, resulting of course in me attaining enlightenment by trying to crowd surf into our enemies. The red team had the point now, and from the tenacity they'd shown so far, we'd be in big trouble trying to win it back. My confidence was in tatters and my heart jumped out my chest when Mauga stepped out with 2 miniguns to face me as I burrowed through the map that seemed to magically rebuild itself, by the way. My aggression had ended. Now it was about looking around and waiting for others to lead me. But as I burrowed again, Supachick shouted at me in team chat the words, "I've got you, Rag!" And I knew that my stupidity could once again be rewarded, so the W key was pushed, and pushed hard. To keep this game from turning into a loss, I calmed down a bit and remembered just how impactful the ultimate abilities can be, so focused on charging it to 100 and biding my time. Supachick dispatched one of the enemy healers before becoming a victim of the fake mole. As much as I was desperate to get my revenge, my ego couldn't cash the checks that my arthritic fingers were writing. No, I had to wait, but it cost us control of the point. As we regrouped, I was itching to press the big blue button and decimate our opponents, and when the moment arrived, I was ready. to get popped right in the chops. This game had gone from certain victory to almost certain defeat. If we wanted to win now, we only had one fight left to do it. Our healer laid out a battle plan, and that was for her to nano boost me as I fired out the tectonic shocks. Being supercharged like that could give us the edge we needed. The final fight began. I still thought I was the tank, pushed Q, and as the nano boost was flung out, Orisa body blocked it to establish her dominance. Fortunately, everyone else was pressing Q as well, and it turned out that a nano Orisa was actually quite terrifying. From all my team suffered while dealing with a suicidal venture player, it was worth it as the objective belonged to us again, and the red team could not return in time, giving the gutter tier a well-earned, okay, not well-earned, but a victory that I wasn't totally useless at some of the time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Too bad if you didn't. Get wrecked.
Thank you, Supachick, for the carry.